Hey guys, it's Andrea Sledge, this week's guest on The Gathering Place, episode 2. So please tune in, like, subscribe, share. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
What's up, everybody? It's Itisha Bankston with The Gathering Place podcast. We are here today with Andrea Sledge, educator extraordinaire. She's here to share with us some of her experience as a teacher, as well as her new experiences as a new building administrator. So I'm going to let Sledge talk to us and tell us just what she's been up to about her educational experience in the classroom and now as one of the leaders of the school. So Sledge, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do. We've been friends for a very long time, so this is going to be just like talking.
Of course. Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me on such a lovely occasion.
Absolutely, Sledge.
The Gathering Place. So as Itisha said, I am Andrea Sledge. I have been in education for 16 years, give or take.
A long time.
Yeah.
Committed
teaching
to the
math. That's all I know. That's all I know.
Math brain.
Mathbrain.com. But that's pretty much it. So I do have an undergrad degree in mathematics and a master's in accounting. Not as many letters and degrees as Itisha here.
Okay.
However, I did meet Itisha when I taught middle school. I taught middle school math for 8 years. Very fulfilling.
What year was that we started there?
I started in 2003.
Oh, okay. So a few years ago.
So I was kind of fresh out of college. I ended up there. One of the building principals just took a chance, gave me an opportunity when the math teacher kind of went stage left on the students at one point.
Oh, yeah.
And
a lot of pressure being in the classroom.
Yes.
We're going to talk about that. Pressure being in the classroom. I remember she cracked under pressure. I
did. I froze. I didn't know. I was just given a textbook and said, there you go, teach these 3 classes.
That's what they was doing back then.
And fortunately, God sent, I met Itisha, Miss Jefferson at the time, and she was just the biggest help of my life.
Oh, well, thank you.
Seriously. She said,
I'm a help. That's what I am.
I mean, it was a blessing. Without her, I really think I would have been taking my purse and my little lunch bag and going stage left with the other math teacher.
But we did not do that. We stayed the course.
I did. Yes. I did. And I stayed there 8 years. Wonderful experience. Just touching the lives of many students until I was granted another opportunity with Miss Jefferson at the time to come on board to high school. And so I did teach high school math.
We did do that, didn't we?
Yes.
I forgot all this stuff. Completely. You know, when I think about you, all I really think about is you teaching at the college level.
And that's also what I do as well.
I forgot about that.
I also teach math at our local community college. Mm-hmm. And I've been there since 2009 as well.
Doing big things.
So I love it. So right now I'm at the high school level and at the collegiate level. And pretty much it's been very fulfilling, just touching many students. And I have a lot of non-traditional students, which would be the older adult learners, 15-year-olds all the way to 59. I think one of my oldest students was probably maybe 68. He said he was just doing it. Some of the seniors at the community college, they are able to take classes for free. Mm-hmm. And he just said, hey, I want to sharpen up my math skills. He was actually like an optometrist.
Oh.
So
you just want to take some classes.
Why not?
Why not?
I'm retired.
Why not indeed? Let's talk about that for a second. I know that's a little bit down on our list of things to talk about, but since you were already talking about post-secondary education, now that you're at the high school level, we're both at the high school level, both in high schools, and you see students preparing to transition from high school to college. What are some of, and this is where we're going to just jump right in. We're just going to jump right in and talk about it. We're going to address the elephant in the room. Every teacher and principal knows already what I'm getting ready to say, the deficits that exist. And some students do go to college prepared. However, the data shows and articles and research shows that more students are going ill prepared. So what's some of the things that you see from students transitioning from high school to college and their ability to be prepared to be successful in college?
Well, just as you said, a lot of our students, within the communities that we serve, they are underprepared for college. Unfortunately, they are. And, with the different standardized tests, and you still have your ACT, SAT, the scores are low. So as the students make that transition, they're placed in a lot of these, a lot of the remediation classes, a lot of those developmental math classes, a lot of the developmental English classes. I mean, it's imperative that they get everything at the high school level that they can, so that when they transition to college, they're good. But unfortunately, even with needing 20 credits, 4 credits of math, 4 credits of English to graduate, it doesn't translate. It doesn't go over well when they get to college. They're still not able to write incomplete sentences, capitalizing, the letters. It is. So
let's dig into that just a little bit, because this is something that all teachers in a teacher's lounge or just in common conversation talk about. So a student spends 4 or more years in high school. And what people sometimes forget is that there are a lot of things that affect a student's ability to learn when they're in school, right? So it could be attendance. It could be family issues, especially if it's a student from an urban community. It could be their deficits in learning. It could be nobody identified that they needed to have accommodations for learning. It could be...
And not to mention, a lot of our students are working.
It could be jobs that they are the sole providers or one of the sole providers for their family. Some kids have children of their own.
Yes.
So it's so many different things that affect their ability to really look at a textbook and get the information that they need in order to demonstrate skills. And it reflects poorly on school districts, teachers who are trying hard. Like, I look at the teachers that I work with now that are trying everything that they can to get these students across the line. And sometimes it's just, the students just flop. They don't want to complete it, or they are trying, but they're just not getting it. So there's a whole lot missing there. So what do you do in your classes when you have students that come from high schools and they're ill prepared for what math class do you teach?
Currently, well, the semester is over, but last semester I did teach pretty much a basic arithmetic math class.
Okay.
It's a developmental math, and we do have a lot of students placing in that. So we have several different ways that the students can come into college, via placement test. And unfortunately, they're getting scores that are placing them not even in beginning algebra, but in the basic math classes. And sometimes I question whether or not they took the placement test serious, or whether or not they just lack the skills.
So when they get there, what do you find out?
So when I get there, a lot of the students do not know how to multiply. We're so used to, pulling out our cell phones, calculators real quick. I mean, I know I'm guilty of it, and I deal with math every day, but they can't do that. And a lot of them are very deficient in fraction operations as well as decimal operations. And our money system is based on decimals.
Sledge could go on and on about the deficits, because it's clearly math burns deep in your heart.
And I love it too.
And you love it. You love math. Remember, I used to call you Matho. Math brain. Loving it. Every bit of it. Okay. So I want to transition just a little bit and talk about your experience, or our experience, in urban education. So I know that there's anybody that's watching this is not, brand new. Urban education is a tough job. It's hard to be in urban education and see the different things that you see. But what can you say, what can you share has been maybe the biggest challenge and then the biggest reward? Like, I know that's something that you have to think about. Like, what's one of the biggest? So like for me, and I'll give you a chance to think about it. So for me, one of the biggest challenges that I've had in urban education is getting our parents involved. Like, I stopped blaming parents. Parents, I stopped blaming you. I stopped blaming you, because I realized there are a lot of reasons why parents may not be able to always come to the school. It may not be that you don't care, because that's what I thought. I thought the parents just did not care, could care less. I'm not coming to open house, parent-teacher conference, sign the report cards. I'm not coming, so don't ask me. That's how I felt. I'm not coming. They can figure it out now, and I can't make it. I'm not able to come to any 6 of them that you hold.
I'm working.
I'm working on that day. What day you having it? I'm working on that day. So I realize now that there are a myriad of issues or reasons why parents may not come to the school. So that was one challenge that I had with just trying to, but it's important. It's important. And not comparing, of course, apples to oranges. So not comparing public education to, not comparing urban education to suburban education. Because in the suburbs, parents are heavily involved. They make demands of their teachers. They are entitled almost.
Yeah, always.
You owe them. Because they will tell you in a heartbeat, listen, I'm the reason why you're getting paid, so you need blah, blah, blah. And sometimes our parents in urban education, they don't take that same advantage. So that's some challenge that I've had. Those are some challenges that I've had. I think some of the greatest rewards that I've had is seeing our students finish.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, when they finally finish and they're able to get across the stage, graduate, do what they need to do, it's always a reward. So what about you?
I would say the biggest challenge for me at this level in high school is attendance.
Yes.
So like you, dealing with the parental support or lack of, I believe that attendance has been our number one challenge.
Yes.
And especially in, our school, with the new House Bill 410 and the 72-hour rule, students not, being habitual, truant.
Can you share, before you go forward, with our viewers what House Bill 410 is?
Well, how it works is if a student is consecutively absent for 16 days, they are automatically withdrawn. And, in the environment, we have a lot of students that go weeks without coming to school, without, any communication. I mean, we're sending auto calls. We make home visits. We do everything within our power to keep those students in school, to retain them. And unfortunately, they just don't come. And the parents can only do so much when you get to high school. I mean.
Yeah. So attendance has been one of your greatest challenges.
Definitely.
So what has been one of your greatest rewards?
The greatest reward for me has been transitioning from being in the classroom as a teacher, going on to become a math specialist, and now the assistant director. So the biggest reward was seeing the same students, in these various roles that I've had. So a lot of the students are like, oh man, can't you just help me with my math? So I'm still handling my duties as assistant director, but I might have a student working a problem on the side, or, just helping somebody, really explaining to them why I'm no longer in the classroom.
Yeah.
But other than that, just seeing some of our students still at the age of 21, still aggressively seeking their diplomas with families and jobs, and they're still coming in spite of all of the challenges. So it is very rewarding watching those students just fight through the struggle and push through. Because they're more than able.
They are more than able.
You can do all things.
And nothing is impossible.
Nothing is impossible.
Listen, that was my mantra daily at the school that Ms. Sledge and I were in, because I needed everybody to know. I was sneaking in, I was sliding in those scriptures, because you don't get this, Jesus.
Nothing is impossible.
Nothing is impossible. You can do all things. Yeah, you are more than able. I had to tell them that. And also, helping students with work doesn't stop just because you're a principal, because I do it all the time. All the time, helping writing papers, helping doing work, X, Y, and Z, helping putting stuff together, purchasing materials for presentations, all of it. It happens that it doesn't stop. So since we started talking about you being an assistant director, Sledge got a promotion. That's so wonderful. We have some stuff that we were going over about what new leaders need to know. Because I remember you telling me, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it.
Hats off. She was my boss.
Listen,
for a few years.
Anybody that's watching, teacher and or administrator, You already know what it is. It's a tough job either way. Teaching is a tough job. Teaching is a very tough job because you all are touching these people, touching our students for 40 and 50 minutes a day, every day. And then being an administrator is difficult because you have to manage the whole operation. And depending on what type of organization you're in, whether it's charter or public, there are rules, dynamics, and politics that go with each one. So you got to be able to navigate those rules and dynamics and politics of each one. So as a new leader, Miss Sledge, what would you say has something that you've learned? Because how long have you been in this role?
How many months have we been in school? Since July 23rd.
Okay. Since July 23rd. So just under a year. Just under a year you've been in the role of an administrator or an assistant director. So looking at the information that we kind of read over and the tips. So we did, some referencing of some articles here. And I have an article from 2007. I want to note that it's an article from 2007 because I feel like things have evolved. Definitely. And the language has evolved as to what people consider to be important attributes and characteristics of a leader. So there are 20 tips that were given to us from the Practitioner's Corner by Jan Borelli. So that link that will be in our description box below. So we'll have that article available for you. And then we have 5 awesome tips for aspiring school leaders by Maxine Driscoll, and that will also be in our link. And I have some very critical things to say about both articles, because I feel like one of them is a farce. I feel like it's not real. And then the other one, I feel like I wish somebody had told me when I started being an administrator, like you need to keep it real with people. And, all the things that you learn in school when you go to get your principalship and stuff like that is not the stuff that you're going to deal with every single day.
Absolutely not. And you know what? Being a teacher and sending students to the principal's office, we would feel like, okay, they're going to the principal's office, so they're definitely going to get in trouble. Yes, I've won. But now, being on the other end of that, when teachers send students, I understand now how sometimes those students would come back, or they weren't suspended, or they weren't sent home. I understand that now.
And it would set a teacher on fire.
Yes.
On fire. Any teacher watching knows. I'm sure that is number one. Like, they have my back. We don't have no support from administration. Every time I send the kids to the office, they send back. Yeah. If you send them for tossing a paperclip, I'm going to send them back to your classroom.
Absolutely. Yeah. Me and this person, we had a conversation.
Remember,
we conversed.
Could result in suspension.
Yeah, may result.
May result.
Next infraction may result in suspension.
That was one of our...
So just doing a lot of parental contact, a lot of motivational speeches. Just being on that end now, because I used to see Itisha, when she would be in her office, students in there. Oops, sorry, I don't mean to do all that, but she'd be typing, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what is she doing? Is this person going home?
Nope. They're going right back in that lab.
They're getting a good talking to.
A good talking to, a swift, stern talking to, and get back in there and do your work. And don't make me come here again. Yeah. So, but you have to be that type of leader. You can't sell wolf tickets because they'll know. Kids can smell fear. They can smell it if you're soft. They can smell it if you're soft, and if you don't have it in you. So sometimes you have to buck up. I remember my first day of school at a building. I'm not going to say which building, but this young man decided that he wanted to try to give it to me. And I had to really stand there and say, you can try it if you want to, young man. I've been known to also, I don't know who's going to be watching, but this is the past, many years ago. I've also been known to threaten children. Yeah. I'm not afraid to say it. They need to know.
That was the past.
It was the past. It's not Itisha 2019. It was Itisha 2009, definitely though. Definitely was happening in 2009. It was going down. So I want to talk a little bit about the 5 awesome tips of a school leader. And anybody that's watching, I want you to really think about how realistic it is for these tips to be put to use. And you can jump in at any time for any...
Well, since we have a lot of teacher friends, one of my teacher friends just said that her leader actually brings out the laziness in her. He's so lax. He's so relaxed.
Oh no.
He's so relaxed and cool and calm that she's not her best.
You're not holding people accountable. You gotta hold folks accountable.
Yeah, and she respects him, but she said he doesn't bring out the best in her.
Oh no. Oh no. It can be a downfall to be too tolerant. Sometimes I think about myself like that. I think I can be too tolerant because sometimes I compare to other administrators and how much of a stickler they are and how hard-nosed they are. And sometimes I wish those things about myself. Like, dang, I wish I could learn to be a...
Yeah, I had a administrator. He was serious business, but I would say he brought out the best in me.
Yeah.
I mean, professional at all levels, had us just doing detailed lesson plans, just kind of like a machine. And I respected. I mean, it was a lot of hard work, and a lot of, teachers were a little disgruntled and just didn't like it. But in the end, I respected it. I mean, and that's in every, teaching position I've held, I've been able to carry that same mindset, that same work ethic. And how was I? You
were excellent. I don't have any complaints. And I'm just saying this because this is my friend. I'm saying if I knew anybody was coming to work on time, Miss Sledge was coming to work on time. If I knew anybody was going to have those lesson plans, I knew Sledge was going to have those lesson plans. If anybody's teaching and not slacking and not on their phone, it's this lady right here. She's all about constant professionalism. Now, I have had people that we worked with that take advantage.
Absolutely.
People past, present, and likely future take advantage. They take advantage of your kindness. They take it for weakness. You give them reminders. They don't want to follow directions and all this other kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that. Let's talk about these 5 tips. Okay. So Maxine Driscoll says the 5 tips for aspiring 21st century leaders are: celebrate. The first tip is to celebrate.
I like it.
I don't.
I love it.
Celebrating.
We're celebrating. You have to be, we're dealing with some rough stuff
Did you do any work?
And day out.
Did you do any work to
Yes,
celebrate?
we're celebrating. We're celebrating that we're still here after dealing with the craziness that happens in that building.
I feel like there's a time to celebrate, but why? It can't be.
We're celebrating. We have victories every day. We're going to celebrate
every day.
Yes.
Maybe I'm a pessimist when it comes.
Maybe Johnny just earned a credit. Maybe
did Johnny earn a passing grade? Did he earn a credit with a D, or did he earn a credit with a B?
D for done.
He
done.
For done.
He got it done.
DONE is what she said.
Done.
Done.
He got it done.
D for done. Okay.
That's the goal, right?
All right, fine. All right.
So yes, let's celebrate that. And that just reminds me of that fish philosophy of, choose your attitude, play, spending time, celebrating, be present, be there, and make someone's day. That all goes along with celebration.
I don't know how I feel about that, because I feel like when you have, not to say that people don't appreciate that type of mindset, but if you lead with that, it can be seen as a weakness depending on what type of school environment you're in. So, for example, in a more strict and, I'm trying to say this without saying too much, but in an environment where the letter of the law is what's expected, sometimes celebrations are seen as frivolous. And then if they are done, they become expected all the time. So it's like you can't really win. You have to either be a person that's going by the letter of the law. I'm just talking. Sometimes environments are different. Or you have to be somebody that is, or in an environment where celebrations are valued.
Well, there's different levels of celebration, though.
Okay.
So small celebrations, maybe, saying, hey, would you like a hug? But really, it's a little Hershey kiss. It's just a hug. Giving shout outs. We're celebrating. I mean, it's just the small things that count. So maybe we're not saying a big celebration.
Okay.
A baby celebration.
A baby celebration. Yeah. Baby steps. Baby celebration. Yeah. Okay. All right. The next thing that the author says is empowering others. So finding out what motivates them and pushing them to shine, helping them to feel better about themselves, to embrace their creativity, and to be empowered to do their best. What do you think about that?
I agree.
Okay, I can agree with that. Empowering others.
I mean, you empowered me. You did. You really inspired me. I always tell you this. like Sugar T, she got it.
She is really calling me. Sugar T was my name. Clearly, I wasn't. I
mean, sweet person. Yes, we respect you. I mean, you have all the answers.
I don't have all the answers. I don't know. And y'all really did think I had all the answers.
It felt like it.
I don't have all the answers.
You got
I have answers now. I don't know. Ask me a question. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't have the answers.
You had them then. You had them, and you still have them.
Okay.
But just being around like-minded individuals, I mean, being all educators, everyone brings something to the table.
That's true. Everyone does bring something to the table.
I mean, I could just think of the staff that I work with. I mean, everyone has their own expertise. Everyone just knows a little bit about everything. And I'm empowered by each of them. And I try to, send out shout outs as much as possible. But I am truly inspired. Seriously.
Yeah, I can say when I would do shout outs in my newsletter that I sent out to staff weekly, they would look forward to those shout outs. They would look forward to, I didn't see my name, or if somebody's name was in there, or, whatever. They do look for those shout outs, and it does empower them to continue to do their best. It does empower them to keep working hard at their craft. So that is something that, new leaders, new administrators should take under their belt to do. What about creating a growth mindset? This is the buzzword for the 21st century.
Growth mindset.
A growth mindset. A growth mindset, really, honestly, this is something that I've been pushing for the past 2 years, is to really embrace change and understand that you can do something new. So if you've been a veteran and have done something the same way for such a long time, a growth mindset says that it doesn't have to continue to be that way just because that's how you've always done it. A growth mindset says you have the ability to learn more and to push more and to do more.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
And I like those. I like the individuals that have that can-do attitude, not the can't. Well, I can't do this because of this, or that won't work. We did that before in the past. No, that's the past.
Yeah.
Be prepared to, excel. Be prepared to do something a little different, because you will get different results. And you do have different leaders. Just like we say, different leaders will bring out different things. So that growth mindset is needed, especially in a technology and driven society where you have to keep up with the change. Technology is constantly evolving.
It makes you have to keep up. Like technology, if you don't want to be left, you have to know what's going on. You have to keep up with technology. And then the difference between that is, if you don't have a growth mindset, then that means you have a fixed mindset, and your mind is
very limited.
You're not going to grow. And that's something that people have to learn how to do, though. That it's not something that's inherent, especially if you're working with people that have always done the same thing the same way. So it's something that has to be practiced, and they have to grow into being able to do it.
Yeah, and just be flexible with it. Accept it and see ways that you can manipulate it. But it's coming.
It's coming. It's coming.
And you need to prepare for it.
It's coming. All right. Building relationships, making authentic connections with people, and making sure that the relationships begin with you. So discovering who you are as a leader, and then discovering who the people that you're working with are. So what do you think about that, building relationships?
Absolutely. It's essential. Building a relationship in any environment. Just getting to know the people that you work with. I mean, a part of this fish philosophy, just play. Being able to spend maybe some time after work doing some team building exercises, activities, where you can get to know each other outside of the classroom, outside of the academic environment. I think that is critical, where you can trust one another, because there's a lot of people that do a lot of things behind your back, backhanded, undermine. I mean, you don't.
They live for it.
And before you know it, you could be caught up in something and not even know it, because it all happened right there, but right behind your back as well.
So see, for me, I think that's like building relationships is not something that I would lead with doing as a new administrator. Like, I did it, I tried it, and it didn't fare out for me as well as I would have liked for it to. Because what happens is lines get crossed, or people, as I stated before, can take your kindness for weakness, or thinking that you're trying to get to know them as now you guys have a different type of working relationship. I think that as an administrator when you're first coming in. And again, it all depends on the culture of the type of organization that you work for. But when you're coming in, building relationships, like you have to be able to, you can't understand who people are. You can't come in dictating and, you know, making changes and doing all that other kind of stuff. But when I see building relationships and discovering things about other people and getting to know them and doing stuff outside of work, I don't know how I feel about that. I think we need to stay indoors, get your work done.
But you know what? With social media, if you are friends with some of your colleagues or, you know, on social media, you can kind of get a glimpse of how they live.
Yeah, I don't do that either.
You can. But also, I think for me, because I was a teacher there, I had already had those relationships with some of the teachers.
So how did that work when you transitioned from teacher to assistant director? How did those relationships change?
I approached it very timid. I treaded really softly. You know, I'm not anyone's boss is how I approached it. Mainly I saw myself as just being an academic leader, not a leader of people, if that makes sense.
That's not going to last long. You are a leader of people. If you're a leader, then you
end up
but leading people.
In my mind, I'm just here to keep track of students and their academics and the behavior piece. That's how I approached it. So I think the transition was pretty smooth of me going from colleague to assistant director. But now, you know, once our new director came in, she said, hey, this is what I need you to do. I need you to do classroom walkthroughs and that sort of thing. So, you know, a lot of the stuff had to be presented to the teachers to know, hey, this is
was it new for them?
Yeah.
Oh, I bet they love that.
And it was new to have assistant director too, because we've never had one in our building. So, you know, once it was presented in a staff meeting, this is pretty much my role. This is what I need to do. The teachers were pretty receptive to it, and that's it. I mean, I believe I'm pretty approachable, so I don't think any of the relationships have been have changed at all. I'm just me.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay. Before we get to the next article, the last thing that the author says, Maxine Driscoll, is to discover balance, is to make sure that you're not overworking yourself. Don't spend a lot of time, unnecessary time at work. Don't try to overwork the people that you're working with, and making sure that you have this balance of your life, which is something that I think people in a lot of different arenas try to achieve. What's your thought on that idea?
Absolutely. You have to have a balance. I mean, it keeps you sane. It gives you peace. You still have to be, you know, up and at 'em when you get home. You can't, you know, just tinker out when you get home. You still have a household to run. So if you devote so much time and energy to your work, something's going to be neglected.
But it's kind of hard not to. It's kind of hard because you want to do well at this role. You want to do well at being a leader. You want to do well at being a principal. And so it's kind of hard to not kind of stay there and burn a midnight oil and, you know, be there past hours and making sure stuff gets done. But you do. It's true. Because if you don't achieve, if you don't work hard to keep that balance, you won't have anything left to give your family or yourself or anybody else. Yeah,
you won't be good to anyone. And I mean, for me, I'm an early bird. So I'm always the first one at work. I get there, I'm there working. And I like doing that because it gives me a peace of mind. No one's there talking to me or coming to me first thing in the morning saying, hey, good morning. But hey, I'm sorry.
I hate to bother you when you first walk in.
I know.
No, you don't, because you're right here.
Yeah,
you don't hate to bother me when
I'm a morning person. Hey, good morning. How are you? It's a great day to be alive, as Mr. Cray would say.
It's a great day, Mr. Cray.
Shout out to Mr. Cray.
Shout out to Mr. Cray. Crayisms. Shout out to Mr. Cray.
Yeah, but other than that, so I like to start my day early. I end it pretty much with everyone. Usually at 4:15-ish. But usually me and the director, we're the last persons that will lock up. And I pretty much just am there doing what I need to do, making the best out of my day, being as productive as possible. so that I don't have much work to take home.
Such a positive leader.
Because I do have to teach in the evenings.
You have to teach.
And every job I do well. Even my dean just told me, she said, how do you do everything? She said, please try to enjoy your summer. You're teaching here, you're assistant director there. I mean, you're doing an awesome job here, of course. And I think I'm doing an awesome job being assistant director.
Celebrating herself.
I think my director could maybe agree.
If she does say so herself. I want to talk about Jan Borelli's article, because Jan Borelli puts it down. I feel like Jan Borelli in 2007 had the truth and wanted to tell everybody, and now things have changed. So I probably should have led with this one. But I'm not going to read all 20 tips because we don't have time to read all 20 tips. But one of the things that she starts with is, and not teachers, let me give this disclaimer. I'm not bashing. I'm simply stating the truth. So like it or lump it, this is what it is. She advises principals to beware of teachers who approach you or accept you first. They may not be all they seem. Have you encountered something like this?
Absolutely. But then I also have to think, was I that type of teacher?
I wasn't. If I approached a leader, an administrator trying to be truthful and honest, how can I help? Then I meant that. I wasn't one face here and then another face there. I was definitely had one face. I wasn't two-faced or a liar or somebody that was just trying to get you or trying to get to be on your good side. That wasn't it.
Yeah, you do have a lot of brown nosers.
And
they'll say and do whatever it takes just to maybe get where they think they should be. Maybe, accomplish rating or
perhaps
a raise, a promotion, but they'll backstab and oh no, I don't like those type of teachers.
It's not a good look. It's not the way to go. Jan Borelli also talks about not changing anything your first year. Now, this is something that I did follow closely, to not try to change too much the first year, because anytime you come into a situation where you're the new leader, people are already going to be looking at you like, okay, here we go again. What's about to happen? Who's going to be doing what? Blah, blah, blah. So if you come in and say, we're going to change this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, people already don't deal well with change.
And leadership.
Yeah, and leadership. They don't do well with it. What about when she says, if a parent comes to the principal's office angry about a teacher's action? Let's stop there. What would you do?
Well, I always encourage them to speak with the teacher first.
That's what Jan says. Yes.
Like, have you been in contact
talk to the teacher?
With this teacher? Have you emailed? Have you set up a conference with this teacher? And I also encourage the teachers to also keep in constant communication with the parent. So instead of just sending the student directly to me or anything of that nature, contact the parent. You're there, you're firsthand, you know exactly what happened in the classroom. Exactly. I don't. I'm getting secondhand information from the student, from you. So if we're keeping that open line of communication between teacher and parent, no one really should be that angry, because they've heard from you a lot of times, and by the time it gets to the leadership, the administration, it should just be a smooth resolve. Like, how can we handle this? Because you all have talked multiple times. And how can we just make the situation better?
How can we wrap it up
without any hostility?
Minus the hostility, because parents, they come to turn up.
Oh, they coming.
I feel like they come to turn up. Parents, listen. I've heard you say, I'll come up and blah 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 the whole school. I'll come up there. Who put their hands on my baby? How come everybody got to end up getting cussed out
all the time?
Every time that's the first answer.
But the students, they egg it on. They say, I'm going to tell my mama to come up here. I'm going to get my daddy on you.
I've been known to say, that's your mama. Ain't my mama.
I say, well, ma'am, unfortunately, this is a school rules, and I'll bring out the handbook.
You bring it.
And I'll politely point, unfortunately, your child didn't.
You bring it out the handbook.
I love the handbook.
Do you love it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it your favorite resource?
Love it.
Favorite resource is the handbook, the parent-teacher handbook, the student-parent handbook.
Just very professional. Sorry, ma'am.
Yeah. A couple more things that Jan brings out before we get ready to wrap it up is Don't go drinking with your teachers. I think that's common sense.
What's happy hour?
No.
We're happy.
No, that's not the life we live in. You cannot, to me, it leaves too much room for anything to happen. It leaves too much room for anything to happen. And if you go out drink, like if you all are going out, hey, we're going out.
Well, it's just a happy hour.
No. You have to be.
Why not? We're going out this Friday. We're going for some appetizers.
Appetizers is different.
Yeah.
Having a meal is different.
Yeah, that's all it is.
We're going out with the purpose of drinking. How will they respect you as a leader?
No, we're just going out for a happy hour. Meaning, we're just playing. We're get to know each other outside of that.
That's why I had an issue with that from the last article. What we need to get to know each other for?
Because we're a small school, so it's a few of us, and we have to see and look at each other every day. So we need something to just break up all of the things, the challenges that we deal with. We need something to just cool us off. It's getting hot. You need a cool beverage and some mozzarella sticks.
Those two things.
After work, mix at 6.
And mozzarella sticks.
That's it.
And an after work mix at 6. Okay.
That's it.
We're going to get ready to wrap up with this one last thought from the author. So the author says for valuable tips for new principals to accept that you are imperfect.
Absolutely.
And that others aren't perfect too. And that's something that I really had a hard time doing because I wanted so badly to make sure everything was right. Like I wanted to be, because people are quick to point out when you are wrong.
Absolutely.
They will point out when you misspelled something. They will point out when you didn't do something. You sent the wrong email. I didn't get this one. Oh, you forgot to do this. Did you do this? Like they are very quick to point out when you do something wrong. So I found myself on this hamster wheel of constantly trying to make sure that I was right until this year when I realized, you know what? I make a lot of mistakes. I don't always do stuff right.
I'm still learning.
I am human. I am flesh and blood. I'm not perfect. There is none perfect but this man right here on this cup, Jesus. He's the only one. He's the only one.
Yeah.
And I'm not him. So it took me a minute to get to the point where I had to realize that I'm not perfect and I can't make everything 100% right. I can try my best, but and depending on where you are, your best is either great or it's not. Is your best either good enough or it's not? But I can try my best to do my best, and that's all I can do. So I think that's a really good tip for new.
Absolutely. Yeah, I make mistakes all the time. I've been in my position since July. Learning as I go. Since July. I'm learning as I go. I mean, I'm constantly sending emails, but I'm so receptive to help. I'm calling helplines daily. I'm calling ODE helplines. I'm calling Tide. I'm calling Dazzle. I'm calling 9.
All the buzzwords.
I'm calling everybody getting help.
ODE.
I got a folder for everything. Anytime. I'm not afraid to ask for help. I don't know. I'll get back to you though.
I'll get back to you. That is something that you have to learn to say. I don't know. Let me get back to you.
Yeah, I'll get back to you.
Because people want answers right then. Why do you think I'm going to give you an answer right now? You're going to have to hold on.
Just a second.
Just give me a second.
I'll get back to you. But yeah, I'm still learning in my position, and I'm so happy that I have a team of teachers that I believe respect it and they understand it, because our curriculum, everything is pretty much new management, everything. So none of us are perfect. We're constantly making mistakes. But it's just how you are able to deal with those mistakes. I mean, that's why they make erasers on the pencils, so that when we make a mistake, you erase it.
You can just erase it.
Otherwise,
I had a life-size eraser.
Yeah, just
there are plenty of mistakes. I'm sure a lot of people wish that they could just
erase it and get rid of it. Just how you handle those mistakes and imperfections.
Okay, so last point: public versus charter education. Now, we know there is a vast difference between the resources that a public education system has as opposed to the resources that a charter education system has. And we're not here to discuss one being better than the other or one being, greater than the other. We just are talking about the differences because I feel like parents need to make informed choices when they determine where they want to send their children. So specifically thinking about like an elementary school, right? If there are, schools that are here that are popping up and new and available, what would you say to a parent that wants to enroll their student in a new charter school?
Just be mindful that maybe the school isn't rated just yet.
Mm-hmm.
So they may not have any data on performance. You may not have the teacher information readily available, but most of the time, mostly all of our teachers are highly qualified in all the school districts, so that shouldn't be a problem. But I would say what I've come across, K through 4, you have some really good teachers. I think after when it hits that 5th grade, that's when you know you have a truly good teacher or not. Because that's when students' mindset change towards school, and students get really apprehensive towards, some of those difficult subjects.
5th grade is a critical year.
It is. So I would say for the most part, when making that decision K through 4, you kind of can't go wrong as far as teacher. Maybe the environment or location. But as far as getting a sound education, I don't
see. My thoughts are from an administrative point of view, I would say that a parent needs to question critically about a newer school and needs to make sure that they have the human power to be able to facilitate the classes that are there. They have the structures in place for attendance and for grading and for wraparound services and for making sure that, kind of everything is set up there. Probably even also looking into if they have a management company or if they have a board, and just kind of doing your homework and getting your due diligence in. You also need to do that with a public school. You need to do your due diligence and make sure that whatever systems are in place for your student, to not be afraid to question and to ask and to get information, because as parents, you guys pretty much hold the key to how things are going to go. You are partners in education, and it makes a difference if a parent is involved and visible and asking questions. It can go very well for a student, even though students don't want their parents up there at all. They don't want to see them at all for any reason. But it's necessary because the parent is the one that's going to help advocate for that student in whatever school setting they're in. So just different things for people to think about. I try to keep it on the surface level. I'm not here to talk about, what charter schools, what. That's not what the show is about. We're just kind of here to present some information, have some conversation, talk about some of the real issues that we deal with, and hopefully shed some light for somebody. Is there anything else before we get ready to wrap up, Sledge, that you want to say?
No, this was very informative. This was exciting. A little nervous.
Yeah, you were a little nervous, but you did great.
Okay.
You did great.
So yeah, just thank you for having me, and hopefully education, I think, has been a big part of our life.
Absolutely.
I entered
20 years strong, 20-year bit
into it fresh. At 22 years of age,
young and unscathed.
Didn't have a
Still
clue.
had my youth.
Yeah.
Hair wasn't turned any colors. I had.
Yeah, I was this big. I was this thin.
It was many moons ago.
I was sharp.
Sharp, yeah. Quick. Yeah,
Quit. That shit.
Feet was in good condition.
Absolutely. Could wear heels all day. No comfort shoes. Now I'm looking for Dr. Scholl's.
I need it
Crocs.
Immediately. I could be good from the top until you get to the ankles. I can't be aware of what's gonna happen past the ankles because I need comfort. I'm not coming to work to be hurt. I'm not doing it.
Sorry.
They don't pay me to hurt.
I don't want to hurt.
You got to be prepared for the day. You got stuff to do.
These the only feet I got. I need them.
You get one pair.
That's it.
You get one pair of feet. You can't. I don't think they do foot transplants. So
they don't. And I need them.
You need them definitely. So this has been The Gathering Place. Thank you so much, Andrea Sledge, for joining us today. We hope that you guys learned something. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate each and every one of you. Please be sure to click subscribe for our next podcast so that you can be aware. You can listen on any of the 3 platforms. Every link is listed in the description box below. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen, and we appreciate you. Have a good day.
Yeah, and I don't own the rights to any of this.
No, you don't own the rights to any of it. No, you're a guest. Okay, bye everybody.
Bye.